Well, hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Book Master class. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Judy Katz, and Judy is a book collaborator. She's a ghostwriter, a publisher, and a marketer. She has helped develop storylines for prospective authors and has successfully completed, published, and got out in the world 45 books so far. Amazing. After graduating from UC Berkeley, where she had her own column, Meaning's Edge, on the Daily Californian for all 4 years, she wrote for a medical ad agency and 2 McGraw-Hill magazines before becoming the PR director for Madison Square Garden and the New York March of Dimes and director of special projects for the National MS Society. Judy, I could go on, but I just want to welcome you. This is a privilege to have you here on this call with me and to really help our authors to take their books to a completely new level. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Ken. I'm so fortunate at this stage. Well, first of all, to still have all my marbles at 79 and to be doing what I passionately love, which is to help people tell the unique stories that are inside them or build their businesses through a book. It's just my absolute passion and joy at this stage of my life.
Well, you know, one of the things I love about having mature individuals on my show, like myself, is that we have a little wisdom. And we've developed that wisdom over a period of years. And you've got a lot of wisdom around the publishing world. I want to talk a little bit about, in fact, let's just get into it. Who's buying? Who's reading? Let's just kick off right there. Who's buying books these days?
Well, I will say that fewer people are reading. But the people who read are passionate about finding good books to read. The other thing is audiobooks are a very big thing today. Every one of my authors, I encourage them to do an audiobook, whether they record it themselves or we hire an actor or actress to read it. But they're very affordable, and it's something that people do on a plane, in a car, that kind of attention. Because everyone is, multitasking these days. So, but people are still reading.
Well, I think a lot of people are reading good books, good quality, and quality is king in the book publishing world, from my point of view. Let me ask you a question. There's a lot of authors that are listening to this, and they're wondering, do I go down the self-publishing route, the hybrid publishing route, or the traditional route? What do you recommend, or what do you say to that?
Well, it is a new day because publishing has changed in many ways. It's in meltdown. I mean, Borders, hundreds of stores, all gone. Barnes & Noble is retrenching. There aren't as many stores. There's still independent bookstores, of course, and that's all good. But a lot of people are also buying on Amazon, So I think that self-publishing is a real option. Even some best-selling authors are self-publishing their books. Instead of waiting a year to 2 years for your book to come out, it can come out quickly. And what many people don't understand, and we'll talk about this some more, is that even if you do traditional publishing, today you have to hire your own publicist. Some people come to me and they already have a book and they say, Judy, I put my book on Amazon and nobody's buying it. Oh, boo-hoo. What did you do to market it? Which ideally should start even before the book is out. And they say, market? What do you mean? And I say, well, would you open a retail store, spend a fortune on renovation, and then on opening day pray that people come in? No. And the same thing with a book. It has to be marketed. So self-publishing is a really good option. And traditional publishing is something that, if you have a good social media presence, or if you have a really unusual story, I think that's the first place that you should go. It has prestige, but be honest with yourself. They're not going to market your book. They're going to get you some reviews, and then it's on you, baby. Certainly for the long haul. And that's what we all want, is to build the momentum. So that's part of the unique things that I offer my book authors, my clients.
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you this. Like I spoke with an author yesterday, and she's got a really great concept for a book. And she was asking me. She said, "Well, Ken, what do I think? What do I need next to do with this book? Do I need to find a developmental author? Do I need to find somebody that's can collaborate with me on this?" She was lost, right? She didn't know what to do. When somebody
Right.
comes to you like that, what do you tell them? She's got a great storyline. She's got a great idea for the story. She's written a whole bunch, but now she needs to take it to the next level.
Yeah, that's a big part of what I do for my clients. I have a number of services. I'm not here to sell myself. I really
Yeah, I
want
know
to
you're
share
not. Yeah,
my
yeah.
expertise. But I do a 2-hour developmental session with people. I hear them out. Very often, the book that they should write is not the book they think they're going to write. And so we dig down to, let me put it to you this way. If you think of a pie chart, there's one slice of genius that people have, your core competence. And mine is in the area of books, like writing, promoting, publishing books. Next to it is a slice of what you know that you don't know. So when I go into my kitchen, I don't know what room I'm in because I don't cook. So, but then there's 3/4 of the pie, which is what we don't even know we don't know. So in the arena of how do you write a book? How do you get it out? How do you work with a collaborator? Most people are babes in the woods, may I say, virgins. And unfortunately, there are a lot of sharks in the water, to mix metaphors. And in the area of hybrid publishing, you have to be especially careful. There are some advantages to hybrid, which is author assisted or they ask you to pay some of the expenses, but there are some really bad hybrid companies that take terrible advantage of people's ignorance, and not ignorance in a bad way, but innocence and not knowing what the next steps are. So you have to be really careful. So
Well,
yes,
let's. I know we weren't going to go down that line yet because I want to get back and talk to you about collaborators and what they cost and own and stuff. But before I get to that, I want to just ask you about what are some of the warning signs that you're going down the wrong path with a hybrid publisher? Like what, you mentioned that there's quite a few sharks in the water.
right.
What what are some of the things to look out for?
I'm a big believer in Google. You really only need half a brain.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you just Google it. Yeah.
Hybrid publishing is an emerging area that occupies a middle ground between traditional and self-publishing.
Right.
And basically, it's not the term that publishers use, but they call it co-publishing, entrepreneurial publishing, partnership publishing, etc. You just have to be very careful because some of them, and I really shouldn't mention any names, but some of the companies really outright take advantage of authors. They get a lot of money. They can get 25,000, whatever, for them to sit around a table with different so-called experts. One in distribution, one in editing, one in advertising, one in graphics, and so forth, social media, but nothing gets written. I just think that people should talk to other authors. Even if you go to some well-known author and say, please help me. I happen to belong to the Authors Guild and we have a forum, and always comparing notes. And even people with a lot of experience have fallen into traps. So, you know, you need to really look at the contract, understand what they're giving you, ask people if it makes sense. You know, there's some caveats there.
That's really
You know,
good. That's really
yeah,
good advice. And the Authors Guild, just to put that out there, I guess you can Google that Authors Guild online. Is that something that you've been involved in for a while? Nobody's mentioned
yeah,
that on the show yet, or on the calls yet.
yeah. I belong to several PEN, the Authors Guild. I mean, they can't take part in this discussion group because you have to be a member. But if
Right.
you've written one book of any kind, you can join. They're very open to that. That's something
That's
people
awesome.
should.
Well, Judy,
Yeah,
let me back up because let me talk about collaborators and how to find a collaborator, what it'll cost,
sure.
who owns the book, that type of thing. Let's go down that line. So, how do you
Okay.
find a collab? Let's identify what a collaborator is, and then how do we find one?
Well, there are different kinds of collaboration. There are people who are more like line editors. They will, if you have a manuscript that needs doctoring, they're book doctors who will go in and edit your book. I do that, but that's not who I am. In reality, I am a ghostwriter, but I will say that the books, all 45 of my books have been written in somebody else's voice. It's not a 70 something or when I started 60 something woman's voice or man or woman. I have been all kinds of people because I find the heart. That's my little area of genius. But I find the heart of their story and then I tell it in their voice. And I have several examples I'd love to share with you of books like that I've done. So I think that if you're looking for a collaborator, you really want to research that. And then you want to meet the person, ask people who work with that person, get some references, and then meet with them or talk to them, conference them, and see if there's chemistry. Because honest to God, it's like therapy. When I do a book with somebody, I become almost like their mother, their their therapist. It's a very
Very
intense,
intimate.
intimate, thank you, relationship. Yeah. So you really want to find the right person and somebody that you feel comfortable with.
As
And of
as
course,
a, I'm sorry, I missed that last one. What was that?
finances play in too. I mean, it has to be somebody who you feel is affordable. Having done so many books, you know, anywhere from 150 to 250 to 400 pages, or 300 pages really. I know the kind of intense work that's involved, and I have a system that I've worked out. So I'm not the least expensive, and I'm not the most expensive, but sometimes people remind me or let me know that other people are less expensive. And I just simply say to them, well, a Timex tells time and a Rolex tells time. I guess I
That's
can't.
really good. Judy, let me ask you this. What is the range for ghostwriting? Like, what would you say the bottom and the top is right now in the marketplace?
I would say the bottom. I mean, there are people who will do a book for anywhere from 15, 20, 25,000. The last few books I've done, I've gotten from 60 to 100,000.
Okay.
And that is paid out over a year or more, and they get receivables as we go along. So there's never a silent dread, what are you doing for me? But you
Right.
know, if you can get one major client as the first book I did, she called her $8 million book. But if you can get one client from having a book, or it opens doors for you, or you do a TEDx talk, or you get paid by corporations to give a talk, or you have a book that generationally will go down your family, there's no way to put a price on that. But it still has to be affordable, obviously.
Yeah. Well, there is, and I a lot of books, not a lot, but there are books that make a lot of money in the marketplace still. And so I know that you've probably been involved in some of those projects. So, the fees are kind of relative. That's my point to really what your purpose for the book is, and what you really see happening within your own platform. I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let me ask you this. Let's talk about the process. Some ideal scenarios to help you to ask for what you want to get this book in the world. A lot of people don't even know what the questions are to ask. Let's say a ghostwriter. We don't know this.
When I visit with people initially, no charge for consultation. I let them tell me what they think their book should be, and then
Right.
I tell them what I think their book should be. And if we're on the same page, because I know what's going to be successful for them. Then
Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
no problem. Then my process is I do a writer for hire agreement, which spells out the timeline, the fee structure, and what's going to happen. Typically, it's at least 8 to 10 intense 1 hour or 1.5 hour taped interviews, whether in person if they can come here, or online, or I fly to them. And I've had people all over the world. And from that, I do a table of contents. And the table of contents with a summary of what's in each chapter is actually a roadmap for going forward, because it can change later. We can move things around. Sometimes chapter 7 becomes chapter 3 and so forth. But it gives us a framework, so then I use the taped interviews to start writing the chapter. And then I'll give them the first 3 chapters, and I'll give them homework assignments. Give me some more color. Tell me how you felt when this happened, and so forth. So that's it. And and they feed me back how they feel about the writing, and then we fix it. And so over a period of 6, 8, 10 months, a year, we have an amazing book in their voice.
That's amazing. Now, let me ask you, you said about 6 to 8 months. What's the fastest that you've ever written a book? I guess that's a good question.
I've done a book in about 4 months.
Yeah.
And I've done it, I did a book recently in 2 years.
Okay. Yeah. So it just depends.
Yes.
Yeah, because I have a saying that I tell a lot of authors that books, we don't really write books. Books write us. Books
Absolutely.
write us. They develop us. They grow us. We, like you said, you were the therapist with the sum of people. I get that that we have to really step into fully embracing what we're writing about. Yeah. So this is really good. We have had no one, as I mentioned, talk about the ghostwriting aspect of this, but I want to ask you something about how do you always write in a sequential order? In other words, do you do the first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, or have you been known to do the last chapter first, for instance, and then go back to the the first chapter? Does that ever come up for you?
No.
Okay.
No, I write in sequence, and because we're following the table of contents.
Yes.
But as I said, sometimes things move around. Yet
Right.
very often the sequence can change, but it's easier to work in sequence for me.
Yes. Okay. Okay,
But
that's
I'd love
good.
to tell you
Okay.
about some of the books that really have my heart.
And typically, when you're working with an author, do you touch base like 2-3 times a week? Is it once a week? Is it once every 2 weeks? How does that work with a ghostwriter?
Okay, that's a good question. As I said, I give them 1, 2, or 3 chapters, depending on circumstances, at a time.
Right.
And they need another, sometimes a week, sometimes 2 weeks to get back to me with their comments. So when they get back to me and how fast we can do the book depends on how responsive they are. You know, and
Okay.
all my clients are pretty much busy people. So if they immediately read the chapter or chapters that I send them and they come back with their comments, then we move ahead. If not, I'm working on the next bunch, but I have to get some feedback from them. So
That's
it's very interactive.
okay. I guess that was my and maybe it's obvious to some people that that would be interactive, but I think that's not working with a ghostwriter. Most people listening to this, would be a good question. So okay, let's talk about the process itself a little bit more. Some ideal scenarios, maybe as a new, let's say somebody wants to come to you and write their book. Okay,
Right.
they just have a concept. They have a concept, but they really they don't have anything else, right? Do you
Yeah.
give them a roadmap as to what this is going to, the whole process of what this is going to entail over a period of time, or what's the first steps they do with you?
Well, I'd love to answer that with an example.
Okay.
Okay, so this book, for example, can I show this?
Yes. Yeah, I can see it. Yep. Okay.
Okay, so that's exactly what happened with Richard C. Colton Jr. This man had a rare form of skin cancer that started as a Limoges procedure, and then it invaded his body and eventually cost him part of his face. He had a remarkable story to tell because after radiation, chemotherapy, radiation, and 3 humongous operations, one lasting 13 hours, he was told, you can't have any more of any of that. No more chemo, radiation, or surgery, and the cancer came back. So he made a contract with God, he told me. I said he's a philanthropist and an art connoisseur and had done good things in his life, but he said, God, if you give me more time, I'll do more good in the world. He wasn't sure how to tell his story, and he lives in New Orleans, a very beloved person. A miracle happened. There was a new drug called Keytruda from Merck, autoimmune drug that had never been used for his particular situation. And he was given that drug. This man is now cancer-free.
Wow.
He's done unbelievable things in the world. And his story is riveting because the honesty in it and what he went through, you feel like you're on a trip with him. You also hired an artist to go into every surgery and do paintings of what was happening to him. I interviewed 15 doctors and friends of his, and it's all in the book. Every doctor has, a comment. So that was almost 2 years, and the book is doing, gangbusters.
Well, I really love that. And I think that one piece that you mentioned too, first of all, you were passionate about the story. You got the heart of the story. But the other piece that I wanted to reemphasize is that you did the interviewing of all the doctors. I think a lot of people are thinking, well, would a ghostwriter do that? Is that something that you do? And obviously you do. So you're really into the book with the author. I get that.
Well, this book is another example. This man, we just lost him. We're losing Holocaust survivors daily, and that generation is almost gone, sadly. Sam Solas was 15 when he was the angel of the ghetto. And this also took me almost 2 years to tell a story that he had never told anyone about what happened to him in World War II. And as a result, the last couple of years.
Judy, can you tell us before you get in the story, can you tell us the name of the book? Because right now your screen is reversed and we're seeing the reverse side of it. So I can't really see the name of the book.
Sorry. Yeah, the other one was No More, No Less. You saw that.
Okay, No More, No Less. And what is the name of this one?
This one is called Angel of the Ghetto, One Man's Triumph Over Heartbreaking Tragedy by Sam Solas.
Beautiful. Okay, good.
Both on Amazon.
Yes. Okay. So your story, you were saying about the
about Sam. He had never told some of the things that happened. He lost 11 siblings, his parents, his whole family, and he was an orphan living in the Bialystok ghetto. And he became a courier, what they called the malach, or angel of the ghetto. And he went in and out taking people's gold coins, teeth, whatever he could to bring food back and save people. And then he eventually was captured, and he was put on the train to Treblinka, the concentration camp, and he was one of only 3 people who ever escaped. He jumped out of the train and he ran into the forest. And what happened next is beyond belief. It really should be a movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, don't go into that because we'll have to go buy the book, but that's awesome.
Last thing I want to say is he came here with $10 in his pocket and built $100 million business here in this country. Unbelievable story.
Tell me the name of that book again.
Yeah, Angel of the Ghetto.
Angel of the Ghetto.
Yes.
Oh,
really
I love that.
Business person you need to
That's perfect. You know, he's I don't know, is he if he's around, that's somebody you could talk to me about putting on Voices of Courage too, because that sounds like a great story for my show. And by the way, for those of you that are just listening to this, I do have a radio podcast, TV show. It's called Voices of Courage, and you can Google it. As Judy says, just Google it, and you'll find it. Voices of Courage. Okay, listen. Now they got their books out. You've written their books. They're out in the world. Now what? Now what?
Well, I've been the doula for their book, and I think, there are a lot of ghostwriters and a lot of good ones. But one thing I think that I offer uniquely, and honestly, it is another fee. It's not part of the writing fee, but having been the PR person that you mentioned before, having had all that experience and having had my own PR firm for a number of years until I got tired of being everybody's Jewish mother and not writing 14 years ago and started doing ghostwriting. But yeah, I don't know what to say. I offer marketing, and again, in that area of what we don't even know, we don't know. People need to understand that a book, like a business, has to be marketed.
Right.
And there are some really intelligent ways to do it. There's a blogosphere out there of influencers. You have to find and research, and that's part of what we do for our clients. Who's interested in this topic? Like, who's interested in surviving from a rare cancer? Who's interested in, a Holocaust survivor and a family? Who's interested in so many other things? Can I read you one little tiny thing? This became a bestseller called Creating We by Judith Glazer. I
Nice.
helped her with it.
Love the title.
I know we lost her just recently, but she was a remarkable human being. So she wrote in her acknowledgement, just one paragraph. Many of us think we have books inside us, and we either find a way to put the words on paper or we just dream about doing it. There are a few people I want to acknowledge who were pivotal in my book writing journey. First, to Judy Katz, my personal friend, who's a genius at finding, that's her word, finding, developing, and promoting authors. Without Judy, I would have lived only with my hopes and dreams of writing a book. When my words were good enough, she introduced me to Al Zuckerman, who became my agent. And by the way, Al Zuckerman started a literary agency called Writer's House, which has had Ken Follett for like 55 years, Stephen Hawking, he has Michael Lewis, he has Nora Roberts. That's who he is. I had lunch with him yesterday. And, I bring him books when I think that they're worthy. So
that's
having
really
a
good.
literary agent is really important as well.
Well, it is, and by the way, when I did do your intro, I did leave out that you owned a PR firm, Katz Creative, until 2005, and you until you found your true calling, which of course is what we're talking about right now, helping people become authors. So, I did want to put that in there, but. So you have a lot of in fact, one of the things that I think is unique about you, Judy, is that piece, is that you have not only the ghost writing piece, but you already have the marketing side. And so many people leave out, even in their books, the marketing side of this. Does that make sense? They have to start thinking marketing. Am I breaking up? No.
No, no, I think that what good is it to graduate from Harvard if you can't get a job? If you have a wonderful book and you're proud of it, you want people to actually read it.
That's
And
right.
it's not going to happen by osmosis. It has to be offered, you know. So there's some work involved in
That,
promoting a book, and that's one of the things that I absolutely love doing. Now I've really honed it down to how to get a book out there.
that's good. Well, and I don't know if this is still what you focus on or not, but there's a whole bunch of pieces that go into getting your book out there. And one, of course, is your website properly working? Does the book have the proper marketing copy with it within the book? It is, who does all that? I mean, is that the author or is that you?
I don't want this to be the Judy show, but
Yeah, no, I know that, but I know you do this.
I do it. I do it because while we're working on the book, I have you know, sometimes it comes to me at 3 in the morning or when I'm in the shower, but I have an idea of exactly how their website should be. And most people who do a first book don't have a website. And I work with a marvelous guy named Tony Iatritis. He's my web guy, and he builds out the structure. I come up with the links and the copy, and then we illustrate it. And maybe we do some videos because little short 2 and 3 minute videos are really good too. And of course, we put all the media on there, and that's how you start to get a wonderful website. But you must have a website because when I go to the media, the first thing they want to know is what's the website. You know, how do I look up this person? Yeah, so you can't hide your light under a bushel.
Yeah, you can't. That's right. Okay, so I love that. Okay, so as we're kind of wrapping up here, I hear your little doggy barking in the background. Yeah,
Sorry, yeah,
it's all good. It's all good. We're good.
I'm
Um,
a dog crazy person.
you know what? My little doggy's sitting right here in studio with me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I keep Daisy in studio because if Daisy's outside, sometimes she'll be barking like crazy too, and there's nothing I can do about it when I'm recording. But when
No,
she's with me, she's great. So, all right. So, in kind of wrapping up, okay. So when a person is finding ghostwriters and they're trying to really understand what this part is about, because we had a lot of people I know that are thinking, hey, I'm not going to write this whole thing myself. I need developmental editing. I need a ghostwriter. I need somebody to help me with marketing. What are the three most important tips that you could give them about that process? Okay, about what to look for, what not to look for, in either a ghostwriter or a marketer.
the first thing that I say to people is I'm not responsible for how many books sell. That's good writing, but it's also the universe at work, word of mouth, etc. But if you tell me what you want your book to do for you, be it tell a family story for the ages, for the grandchildren, great grandchildren, and on, or to build your business, or to give you a certain brand or reputation out there in the world, globally, nationally. I'll make sure your book does that. So I think it's important for you, again, I go back to find somebody you have chemistry with, feel that you trust them, feel that they really get you, and to do that, you have to talk to a lot of people. You have to make the world your focus group, and there are a lot of people who really want to help. Like if somebody calls me and they can find my number at katzcreativebooksandmedia.com, contact me. Tell me your story. I'll tell you what I think you should do next, without any charge, but just because I want to help people write good books. And unfortunately, there are some really bad books. I call them a ham sandwich between two pieces of white bread. Anybody can put a book on Amazon, but quality books do find their audience. They do. And that's what we're all looking for is, I always tell people, Ken, there are no new stories, but there
That's
are
right.
new voices. And that, like voices of courage, that's perfect. There are new, and we humans have to be reminded of the basics of life all the time. Shakespeare took care of the stories. Every story is in the Bible and Shakespeare. But books are very important because they take you to another level of understanding of what we're all here for. Sorry to
That's
go
so
on.
good. That's so good. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. I think that's a good stopping place here, Judy. First of all, thank you so much for being here again. It's really an honor to have you on this conference with me and to share your wisdom with our audience. I would like to let them know that they can get you again at it's Judy Katz
It's katzcreativebooksandmedia.com, and my email is jkatzcreative@gmail. That's it.
See, I'm so glad I asked that. Okay, good. So any final thoughts for the audience here?
If you have a story that you've been holding back your whole life, share it. Life is so short, and each one of us is a unique, beautiful human being. I'm sure that some of you have stories that the world would really want to hear. So don't hold back. Find a way to tell your story in the form of a book, which may someday become a movie, who knows, or a Netflix series. I'm working on trying to get the Holocaust book or Richard Colton's book made into a movie because they both have that potential. So I'm really excited to be doing what I'm doing, and I hope to do it into my 80s and 90s, and who knows.
Awesome. Well, I got a feeling you will be because you're vital, healthy, and you've got a lot of wisdom. So thank you, Judy, so much for being part of this. I really appreciate it.
And thank you.
Okay, we're off the recording right now. We're good.